many past lives where I've been quite the warrior, and I stood up for stuff and I would go and fight. But I feel like where I'm at in this life is more holding a space and a frequency of love and helping to awaken any who are ready. And each of those people involved will have their own personal holographic reality and their own personal karma, their own personal life lessons and soul contracts that they're going to fulfill. And so for me, I know my response to that is to hold a frequency of love and light and to help educate humanity that choosing love is always the highest choice. Now, these terrorists and these people, you know, I've had people in my own family that were terrorists. I've lived amongst that energy. I've lived with people who really wanted to destroy light and life. And I see that they suffer greatly in themselves. And so really, if I just create more suffering for them, is that going to change anything? Or do they actually need to be rehabilitated? And so when I work with the angels, what my highest focus is that they will assist in clearing any energies and removing them from this earth plane in the way that is needed to be done so that they will have their chance for rehabilitation. So like whether it's a human with an entity attached to them, and I'm doing an auric clearing and we're clearing the entities and they're being sent to another dimensional space for rehabilitation, that is what I see. And so me, Tanya, personally, I don't need to go fight anything, but I do assist with clearing. And there's many of you, I'm sure there's other souls on this planet besides myself that are assisting with clearing. And so if you are, I would encourage you to hold your focus on calling in your angels and your guides to assist in a cleansing and a clearing of consciousness for the collective and clearing the need for control and power and enslavement, to clear that fear in all of us that there's not enough, the fear in all of us that, you know, there's this competition, somebody's going to be better than the other or ahead. It's an egoic thing that goes on in every one of you listening. So if we're going to eradicate that, it's going to need to be eradicated from within, and it's going to need to be done with the whole collective consciousness as a shift that will actually create more beautiful alignment for the whole. Does that make sense? Does that answer that question?
Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll wait to see what Pegasus said, but
Okay.
yeah, I think we need to end their suffering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me what you feel.
Eradicate. I mean, there is no rehabilitating these people because they see that their way of life is not the wrong. It's not like somebody who breaks into homes, kills people because he's afraid he's going to be killed. It's not like your average criminal. These are people that are living with a certain ideology, and that is the way that God wants them to be. You can't
according to their idea of God.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and there is no rehabilitating somebody who, hey, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Well, and this is the thing that I would say there is an opening and an ability.
Pegasus said you did answer the question. Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, it's 555. There is an ability to rehabilitate any soul that is open and receptive.
Oh, right.
So it all comes to open and receptive.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have like a criminal in prison that's kind of learned their lesson, they're like, this sucks, I'm in prison, and they're kind of having a lot of time to think, and then they get away from the whole gang and tribe, and they can kind of get inside of self. This is where a soul can shift, and some amazing beings that
Absolutely.
have become great.
But there's a big difference here. That's what I was saying. Somebody in prison who committed crimes knows that they committed crimes.
Yes.
And they know they are in jail because of that. And yes, you can rehabilitate a person like that. But if a person is over there killing and beheading people and killing their own people, just because they feel that God wants them to do this, that there is no rehabilitation there, because that's them.
Hmm. Well, I would have to say there is the ability, because there is always possibility.
There's always the possibility. No, I agree. There's always a possibility, but
yeah. And it's all about if they're open and receptive. And so if the souls there are not, and this is where I'm sure like it's already happening, there's already countries coming together. And one thing I think is beautiful is a lot of the different countries now are coming together with a, what did William say? It was like they're going to lay down their arms, like they want to call forth I can't remember what it's called, like where they're not going to shoot people, like they want everyone to kind of put down the guns. And I feel like that is a beautiful direction if we can actually not feed that fear, but we can stop them at the same time. And this is where it's going to be tricky, and those leaders will have to figure that out, because that's not something I'm going to personally be a part of. But I know that each of us can hold the frequency of love and light for everyone that's involved, and for every person that has to make these decisions, from presidents to world leaders, and hold that frequency of love, though, for the whole, and to stand up for what is right and just. And yes, there is a time for every soul. That I feel we're in such a fast-moving, shifting reality now that those who are creating this violence, like they are going to bring swift karmic return to themselves. Does that make sense, Amnon?
Yeah,
like they're not really going to get away with it.
They shouldn't be able to get away with it, but how many people are going to die in their hands before maybe tomorrow, maybe in another week, maybe the next hour?
Yeah.
Sooner or later, something has to be done about them.
Yes, and I personally am calling forth the Mother Gaia and all of humanity of love and light frequencies to go ahead and shake off that energy from our planet. Does that make sense? So whatever form that needs to take, where that is, as Pegasus said, eradicated, I am open and receptive to that. However, Earth Mother and humanity needs to shift that. But we still need to maintain and remember to stay in our focal point of love and oneness and unity in the unified field. And this is where we're going to more act as a hive consciousness, where we're doing everything to serve the whole without agendas, without control, without corruption. And in essence, that is the biggest thing that needs to be eradicated from the planet right now. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because that's going on in all countries. Like, there's all different countries that have that same issue of corruption, enslavement. This is going on all over Africa. It's going on in Mexico, beheadings, and it's just, there's more and more. It kind of, when I look at it as like an image of the Lord of the Rings, it's kind of like those beings are like orcs, and then there's the elves and the dwarves and all the ones, and they're like kind of fighting against it, and they have to stand up to it, because ultimately those ones that are of darkness, that have no honor for life, they have no honor for anything of goodness, they aren't going to stop until they feel like they can take it all down, and they want to take control of the planet. So it's like, my angels have told me that every day when you wake up and you ask, how may I serve, know that there are also those that wake up and ask, how may I enslave? And so there are different beings on this planet all wanting to take possession of this planet. And there's those that want to have unity, and they want to have love and wholeness and abundance for all. And then there are also those that work for, I would say, a lower vibrational agenda of enslavement and destruction. And so, yes, we're really coming to a head of what's going to be able to stay and remain on the holographic reality of this new Earth, and what energies will be eradicated. So hopefully that answered that. I was going to read a card before we go today, and I think this is a great way to end. It's one of my crystal cards called Celestite, and it looks like that, and it represents knowing. The Master Crystal Deva Celestial. My very touch is the tone of knowing. I am here for you. Embrace me and wear my silver blue cloak of light. My love, joy, and peace will carry you within to the place of your true birth, the place of your infinite nature. At this, the center of all that you are, there is a sacred space, where all that will and has been due to you is transmuted to absolute knowing. It is in that space that we are one, outstretched and welcome. I will aid you to create through your divine heritage. Mastery and completion are yours. The allowing of the mind's transcendence over lower thought has opened to the ever-truthful path of knowing. Welcome home, child. I have always known you would hear the call. Now manifest all you are in the world, and universal mind will be born in the physical, freeing all who desire the perception of eternal light. And I'm going to read that last sentence again because I feel like that is exactly what a soul like mine is on this planet doing. And many of you listening, whether you know you're at that place of doing that or you just have the desire to remember that you're at that place, at some level, if you're even watching this show, you have enough awareness to be in that space where you are remembering, you're awakening to remember your divinity. Now manifest all you are in the world, and the universal mind will be born in the physical, freeing all who desire the perception of eternal light. And I feel like that is one thing that when we get into the angelic perspective of all this, my angels have told me not all will choose ascension at this time. And so what I feel that means is there will be beings who are distracted by their lower vibrational agendas, their hate, their corruption. Their hearts will remain closed and jaded and guarded, and they will not pass through. And so when we look at ascension as really a state of being, the ascension process is a personal choice. So everyone on this planet is given free will. We all choose our ascension, our choice to rise through that narrow passageway of alignment, meaning we have to release all the heaviness, all the pain of past, all the drama, all the story, all the belief system has to be shed to pass through. And my angels have very clearly said to me, not all will ascend at this time. And so don't be distracted by those who are not choosing that, but just stay centered in yourselves. As the ultimate message of today's show is to stay centered in love and light within self always, and remember that your ascension is your highest priority. It is your alignment with your source. It is how you observe the world around you. You stay in a space of peace and love that surpasses all understanding. Yes. That is the mission, and that is where you will anchor heaven and earth will become unified and one. And we will do that together, and some of us will do this successfully, and some of us will choose not to come here, and we will live in very different holographic realities. Sound good? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So is there any last comments or anything coming in before I sign off?
No.
Okay, so one thing I was going to share on here is this Thursday, if anybody is wanting to join us for the next Healing Through the Chakras workshop, it is this Thursday from 4 to 7, and I can Skype you in if you're remote. It's the heart chakra, the Anahata, and we are going to be focusing on the heart chakra traditionally as you know it, but also I'm going to be talking about the higher heart, the lion heart. This is all about what I'm talking about on the show today, is staying in that place of complete love and compassion. And that's higher heart stuff, unconditional love. A lot of us, we've been in human love, and human love is very conditional. It's about what do I get, what's right, what's wrong. Unconditional love surpasses all of that. It is unconditional. It loves regardless of what's happening. It always responds with love. So we're going to be working through that and doing art projects together, and it's so much fun in that class. So if you're interested, let me know. And the other thing is coming up, I officially created our Facebook event page today for our first Twin Flame Union workshop, and that is going to be on December 27th from 11 to 2 in our sacred space. If you want to Skype in or call in, you can, but let me know right away so I can get you set up because the space is limited, and it's $55 a person or $88 for a couple. And I used 88 because infinity, twin flame. I just thought that was perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm really excited to do this workshop with William. We're excited to just teach and lead and inspire and we know that it's going to be beautiful. There'll be energy, angelic galactic energy activations and